Imagine a night sky, not just filled with twinkling stars and distant galaxies, but with something far more immediate, far more unsettling: the silent, orbiting sentinels of nations, armed and ready. For decades, the notion of a militarized space force, complete with laser-blasting spacecraft and semi-automatic satellites, was a thrilling fantasy confined to the pages of science fiction novels and the silver screen. It was a universe away from our own, a ludicrous dream or a terrifying nightmare, depending on your perspective. Yet, in a remarkably short span of time, that boundary between fiction and reality has blurred, then vanished entirely. The cosmos, once a beacon of scientific exploration and human unity, is rapidly transforming into the newest arena for international conflict. We've heard whispers, of course. Rumors have long circulated about Russia and China developing and possessing their own space military capabilities, operating in the shadows of the final frontier. But what was once a clandestine concern has now erupted into the open, with major global powers openly declaring their intentions to extend their reach and their weapons into orbit. The United States made its intentions clear in 2019. It was then that President Donald Trump established a brand new branch of the U.S. Armed Forces, Space Force. The precise mission and operational nature of Space Force still hold a degree of ambiguity for many, shrouded in the technical complexities of space operations. But Trump's vision, as he articulated it, was unambiguous. At an event in Maryland, he proclaimed it would protect America's interests in what he vividly called the celestial battlefield. He declared, with stark clarity, space is the world's newest warfighting domain. Amid grave threats to our national security, American superiority in space is absolutely vital. This wasn't just a rhetorical flourish, it was a profound declaration, signaling a fundamental shift in military strategy. Just a few months later, across the Atlantic, France followed suit, propelled by a similar sense of urgency and strategic imperative. On the eve of Bastille Day, a day traditionally symbolizing national pride and strength, President Emmanuel Macron unveiled his own ambitious plans. He announced the establishment of a High Command for Space, a dedicated force designed to project French power beyond Earth's atmosphere. To emphasize this new direction, the French Air Force itself was renamed the Air and Space Force. And if the symbolic gestures weren't enough, French Minister of Defense Florence Parly offered a more concrete and perhaps more startling glimpse into the future. She told reporters that France aimed to have weaponized satellites in orbit by the year 2030. These spacecraft, Parly specified, would be equipped with formidable armaments, including either machine guns or high-power laser weapons. The specifics might sound like something ripped from a movie script, but this was a real, stated intention from a major world power. This rapid, almost synchronized move by global leaders to militarize space has, understandably, raised significant alarm among some experts. They look at these developments not as progress, but as a dangerous escalation. Mark Gubrid, a physicist and professor in peace, war, and defense at the University of North Carolina, is one such voice of concern. He fears that the actions of these global leaders are pushing humanity dangerously close to a full-blown space arms race. The implications, he warns, are not merely about control of orbital pathways, but about far graver consequences right here on Earth. He explicitly cautions that this course of events could spiral into destabilization and nuclear war. Professor Gubrid's words are a stark reminder of the stakes involved. He advocates for a different path, a return to the principles of restraint and cooperation that have, for decades, kept space relatively free from overt conflict. "I call for renewed advocacy of space arms control," Gubrid declared to reporters, his voice a clear plea for a more peaceful approach. He articulated a simple, yet profound vision for the future: of space, no war in space, no weapons in space, no weapons aimed at space. It's a vision that stands in stark contrast to the trajectory we seem to be on. The decision by nations to arm orbit marks a truly unprecedented chapter in human history. It shifts our understanding of national security and the very nature of conflict. As we gaze up at the vastness of space, it's no longer just a canvas for dreams, but a potential theater of operations, a place where the next war, once unimaginable, could very well unfold. The question that lingers is whether we, as a global community, can heed the warnings and work towards a shared future where space remains a domain for exploration and peace rather than a battleground. What are your thoughts on this profound shift towards space militarization? Do you believe it's a necessary step for national security or a dangerous escalation that could lead to unforeseen consequences? Share your perspectives in the comments below. We'd love to hear your insights on this critical topic. And if you found this discussion thought-provoking, please consider following for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world.